So, Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to be speaking with you. And this is the first of our interview with the experts, and of course, you're globally recognized you have a lot of experience in cybersecurity, specifically in the field of malware analysis and malware research. So maybe you could start, Alex, by telling us a little bit about how you got started. I know that you actually graduated in economics, but it would be interesting to know how you entered the field of cybersecurity.
Yeah, for me, it started more than 25 years ago, about 1994, 1995 maybe, when I just finished education at school. And after that, I started to working at some mechanical factory in the province of north of Russia. On the it was company developing some machines to forest industry. So, and of course at that time in Russia and I think not only in Russia but around the world, internet was something really new and nobody knows how to work. And of course at that time it was first computer viruses who started to appear. And that my first job as system administrator. And one day we bought new computer from the market, and I tried to install new software on that, and there was antivirus. It was antivirus, Dr. Web. It's also Russian antivirus.
Right.
And I tried to install that antivirus and scan all computer what we have already in that company. And what surprised for me, all of them were infected by virus. It was natas.4744 virus for MS-DOS operational system, not even Windows at the time. And I said, wow, it's really there are computer viruses. And I started to look at that, trying to understand how it works. And then I took diskette, floppy disk with antivirus, and I was going to check another computers in the same company, 10 computers in the company where my friends were working. And I found new viruses in a very short period of time, maybe 2 or 3 months. I found about 20 different computer viruses. And it was, like something, I know what I want to do in my future. Find and destroy computer viruses. So I started to collect them. And sometimes viruses were undetected, not detected by any antivirus what I had. We had Dr. Web, we had Kaspersky, AVP at that time, and we had some really unknown right now antiviruses, but very famous at that time, like AIDS test or something like this. And undetected viruses, I started to send to persons. One of them was Igor Danilov, creator of Dr. Web antivirus. And another guy, it was Eugene Kaspersky, creator of AVP. And I sent more than 20 different emails, both of them, and only Eugene replies to me. I never had any reply from Igor Danilov, but from Eugene, it was every time like, Alex, thank you very much. This is really new virus. It will be added to antivirus databases, etc., etc. So it was real communication. It was very valuable for me because, you have feedback. And I started to be more and more involved for antivirus research. And 5 years later, in 2002, I already had a lot of people in the Russian community, independent people who worked in this area, and some of them already started to work in Kaspersky Lab at the time. maybe 3 or 4 people were working at Kaspersky, and one of them decided to leave the company, and he said to director of virus lab to Kaspersky lab, like, I have one guy to replace me. This is Alex. Everybody knows Alex. Let's invite Alex to Kaspersky. So I took the plane to the Moscow. We had like meeting. It was not really HR meeting with HR people. It was like discussion with antivirus expert. Eugene Kaspersky was there. Also, he said, Alex, hi, nice to meet you after 6 years of virtual communication. We spent two hours to discussion, and they said, okay, tonight we'll let you know if you accept it or not. And almost at the night, I had a call like, Alex, okay, you're approved. Can you start to work in next 2 weeks? I said, yes, sure. I'll back to my town, finish my work, took my stuff, and flew to Moscow and started to work at Kaspersky. It was December 2002. So since 2002, I really, before that, I was like independent adult researcher, and from 2002, it was really profession for me, and it was new level. And every new year, every new Kaspersky lab, I was, like, wow, we found something new. I never thought we can find something more interesting than it was before, but every year we found something really new, really interesting, and 16 years in Kaspersky lab for me. And every year it was like the first time,
Tell me a little bit about how does an organization like Kaspersky or any large antivirus company discover so many viruses? It's not anymore a manual effort, right? It's all AI-based and automated detection. So tell us a little bit about how so many malware is discovered in the wild.
For example, when I started at Kaspersky in 2002, there was only four virus analysts, and Eugene Kaspersky was one of them. So in Kaspersky and 3 guys, and I was one of them. And at that time, in 1 week, usually we had about 500 new viruses per week. And like 100 viruses was analyzed by me. 100 viruses was analyzed by different guys, but Eugene Kaspersky did half of them, like more than all of that. So 500 per week. And then start growing. We started to hire more and more people. In short period of time, we had about 30 virus analysts. And it was, I think, 2010, this flow of new samples, new viruses was so huge, it was totally impossible to manual processing.
Right.
And we started to create automative tools. Even we did manual work. We had some internal contest in virus lab sometimes, like who and how fast can analyze these viruses. And I add signature to the database. So at that time in 2010, record to the manual analysis was like 10 seconds. 10 seconds to look at new sample, said, oh, this is Trojan, something like this, and at detection. 10 seconds for manual analysis, but it was not enough,
That is also not enough.
Sure. And we started to create like new tools, like automatic analysis. And it really helps. And right now, as far as remember, more than 99% of new samples processed by Kaspersky Lab every day analyzed by robots, like artificial intelligence.
Right.
And only small percent of them goes to the manual analysis, like most complex cases, which computer not understand what is it. But you know, I think in the future, it will be 100%, 100% to the computer analysis, and for the people who, for virus analysts, it will be only not only always way to look at how to develop such systems, not really reverse engineering, you know.
Or to improve the tools, to continue to improve the tools.
Yes.
Right. Now, Alex, you must have seen Nimda and Code Red and Slammer and Stuxnet and all these this evolution that has happened where malware was I would say benign. It would not really cause wide scale harm to where today we're living in the age of ransomware. Could you walk us through one or two of the most exciting moments when you discovered a really new malware, or you had a chance to analyze Stuxnet? Any one or two experiences you could walk us through? Feel free to let us know the tools that you use to analyze some of those malware. I'm sure. What are some of the tools that you prefer to use?
Okay. First of all, about most significant cases, right. You already mentioned Slammer. Slammer, it was January of 2003. It was almost first month of my work in Kaspersky, and that day I remember very well, because it was my first own shift in virus lab. It was Saturday. At Saturday and Friday, that time we had only one virus analyst on the shift. It was my first real, own shift. And Eugene Kaspersky also came to the office at that day, and we sit together. And Denis Zenkin, PR manager of Kaspersky Lab, running to the office, like, something happened in the South Korea. There is no internet in South Korea about 8 hours, and nobody knows what's going on, what happened. And maybe it's computer viruses. We said, we have no samples. And we started to ask people in the industry, like, what's going on? And in very short period of time, maybe 15 minutes, we got a very small piece of something. It was not real file. It was like network packet, 376 bytes only, very, very small.
Right.
It was not, file like you can click and run. It's not that type of the file. But we started to look at that. Eugene, like, looking at that and started to claps, like, it's genius. Look at that code, Alex. And it was a function to create a randomized IP address and send this packet to that address. It was Slammer. It was Slammer, a SQL worm, who was, I think, first kind of this real global and such flash outbreak. In 15 minutes, Slammer infected about 40% all potentially infected targets. It was very, really fast. It was first real case for me in real time looking on global outbreak. So Slammer was first case. And also very interesting was first mobile viruses. It was Kabir, mobile worm for the Symbian phones.
Right.
And one of our agents, we had agents like people who love to find new viruses, like me in 1994, who tried to find new samples and send them to the antivirus companies. And one of agents sent to us some file. We started to look at that. It was not filed to the computer, to the Windows. It was filed to the Symbian operational system. And we didn't have any Symbian phone in the virus lab at that time. We started to asking around. We found one phone in the support team. they provide this phone for us, and we started to look to analyze, and wow, it's working via Bluetooth. We try to connect to another phone and infect them. So it was a real beginning of mobile viruses era for me. And next huge case, of course, it was Stuxnet. Stuxnet in 2010.
Right.
I think Kaspersky lab did great job with Stuxnet. Symantec and Kaspersky, it was two leading companies to investigate Stuxnet, and we found 2 0 days in the Stuxnet, and we spent more than 3 years to analyze Stuxnet in the total. And at that time, I was really thinking like, this is the top. This is the top of computer viruses. I never see something really more complicated than then. And in 2014, in 2015, we found like equation, APT set with a lot of bright ideas. We still looking at that every day, how it works, what is going on. So, and was also Gauss APT with one encrypted resource in the file, and we still have no idea what is encrypted in them, because Gauss tried to find only one unique computer in the world, and we have no idea what is computers he's trying to find, and if Gauss will infect that specific computer, that encrypted resource will be decoded, and some payload will be executed, but we still have no idea what is it. It's like, you know, magnificent times. Looking at that, you can detect it, but you have no idea what is inside.
Right.
And like mystery. So it was very, very interesting cases, and in every case, as I said, we try to use, not try to use, we have to use some real new tools to analyze them. Like for the slammer, this is network packet. This is not a computer file, so you have to use some another ways to analyze it, right? For mobile viruses, we have to have a lot of different mobile phones like Symbian, then Android phones, Windows mobile phones, for analyze mobile viruses. For mobile viruses, we create in Kaspersky Lab a special room, like Faraday cage, which is totally block every connection, because, you know, if you try to test Bluetooth or Wi-Fi virus, it can spread to the next the room and infect people in your company. So that's why you had to have like Faraday cage. Right? For the Stuxnet also, it was warned to infect SCADA, and we never before looking at the SCADA, and we don't have PLC logical controllers. So we had to buy PLCs to virus lab. Like it was jokes in Kaspersky lab at the time. Like, you know, in 5 years we'll have a lot of luxury cars in virus lab just for testing automatic security. We already had some ATMs, 2 or 3 ATM cash machines in virus lab, not really in virus lab, and underground, because it's very, very heavy, you know, it can break the floor. Right. So we have ATMs machine, we have PLC controllers, we have a lot of mobile phones from different vendors, and even cars, why not? It's right now, I think you have to have some such stuff. So it's really interesting, and always you could find new solution how to analyze new viruses, because this evolution of ideas from cyber criminals, from state-sponsored attacks, they never stop, and we have to be always on the same steps, on the same pace, not behind them.
Right. So if, let us say, somebody wants to build a career in malware analysis, reverse engineering, what advice would you give them? What should they work on? What knowledge should they gain? What skills should they acquire? What programming languages should they try to learn? Could you give us some ideas about that?
Speaking about programming language, it's not really important. Look at me. I, uh, I, I can develop some program, right? I remember basic, I remember some Pascal or Turbo Pascal and little bit C++. But for me, it was never problem. I don't know Python, I don't know Java, but if you want to be a real good reverse engineer, you have to know like Python, because a lot of new models you have to develop in the lab. In the lab, it's not really a lot of models for new task. You can ask people in the other companies, because in lab tools, it's still in the lab, and that automative processing robot, which was created in Kaspersky for all this incoming flow, was in the beginning it was developed on the BAT language, batch language in the Windows, and after that it was rewritten in the Python. But from the beginning it was very fast tool created one of the guy on the batch language. You have to know any language which more suitable for you. If you can solve this problem with batch, it's okay. If you have to solve this problem with C++, okay, but there is always a lot of different ways. So programming language, it's not so necessary. It's very good if you know one of them, but it's not really important. But for everything, reverse analysis, of course, you have to know IDA, disassembler, and some times ago, thanks to NSA, they provided Ghidra disassembler, which is really great tool. I think it's in most cases, complicated cases, it's better than IDA, really better. So it's must have. You have to know one of these tools. Also,
Hydra is something you do recommend, but before that, any disassembler is of course very vital, right, to reverse engineer the code.
Yeah, and you know how to you can use automatic tools like VirusTotal. You can send samples to the VirusTotal and look at results of them. You can create rules on the VirusTotal to detect new samples on the very easy language, which is Yara rules. You can create own tools on the VirusTotal to find new samples. And you can use some automatic sandbox like hybrid analysis, which right now bought by CrowdStrike, but it's still open for everyone. So you can drop this file to the sandbox and look at the logs, what it really does, IP addresses, dropped files. So you can make a lot of analysis without disassembler. In most cases, in 90% cases, VirusTotal analysis and automatic sandbox analysis is pretty enough to understand is it file malicious and what it does. In some really hard and complicated cases, of course, you have to take disassembler and look manually. But in most cases, as I said, 90% automatic tools will be good.
Right, excellent. So what's a good sandbox that you recommend? You mentioned the CrowdStrike one, and then Cuckoo is there.
Hybrid analysis. If you speak about public open source sandbox, I think this is one of the best. I use them a lot of time. Yeah.
All right. Got it.
But in the most of companies, they have own internal developed sandboxes. Like in Kaspersky, for example, they have own sandbox to the malware analysis. And a few months ago, Kaspersky started to sell the sandbox as independent product
Yes.
to the SOC, to the SIAM people. So you can both buy sandboxes from security vendors like independent products and use them.
Right.
If you don't want to put all samples to the public service, to the cloud.
Virus total or something, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, what are the frustrating parts about your work or challenging parts? What annoys you sometimes when in the work that you do. Generally, of course, it looks very exciting and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's some of the things that you've not enjoyed so much?
Oh, personally, for me, most frustrating part was, of course, all this negative media coverage about Kaspersky in past years,
right,
from the United States. Of course, it's big geopolitics tension between Russia and United States, and everybody understand, I hope, what is real reason of that. Like right now, we can see the same cases with Huawei, with Chinese companies, like obligation, like you have cooperation with law or with local secret services, and that's why you're a national threat to our countries. We call this balkanization of the internet.
right.
Before 10 years ago, every internet doesn't have any borders. It was really open, and you can communicate with people in different countries without the border. You can use any product which you want to use. It was no problem. And because Edward Snowden, who provide to the public, to the broad public, information about prison system, about all this kind of stuff which was used by US government. And it started like paranoia. Russia said, okay, we will use own products only. Like in the Brazil, they said we can use own fiber cable to the connect internet, not American cable, but we can put own cable to the Amsterdam. And so it started to crack internet and balkanization, and now it's very hard to work because you lost access to the lot of partners, to the lot of colleagues,
Yes.
to the lot of new samples. You cannot just try to working with, for example, like in cooperation with Iranian companies. But Stuxnet was found in the Iran, and Iranians still under always new targeted attacks against Iran. And the same samples can be used against any country, not only Iran. And you have to working with Iran somehow to get to the samples, to analyze them, and to provide protection to the people. But
right.
It's impossible to work to Iran because not international, US sanctions against Iran, and it's simply impossible. So, in the short summary, right? Yes, this geopolitical tension between countries and balkanization of the internet. This is main problem to the industry. Not only for me, but for all international security.
Tell me something, Alex. How was it in those days, inside Kaspersky when this US ban was being put into place? What was the atmosphere like? How did you guys feel, and how did you then react and respond to this?
Most time we were laughing, because we know this allegation was not true. It was, that guy from the Bloomberg, for example, who writes a lot of articles about like Kaspersky and Banya and KGB. After that guy also published an article about Chinese backdoor in the chips.
Yes,
it
was
huge
completely
story.
false.
Yes, right. It was huge story. Apple said no. Microsoft said no. What is your source there, Bloomberg? And right now, this guy, as I know, is dismissed and working on, like weather department of the Bloomberg. Like in the Texas, it will be 30 degrees and something like this. So that guy before was main journalist who provide all this kind of info about Kaspersky.
Mm.
Right now he working on the weather prediction. So it was, as I said, it was mostly like, of course, it was very hard to make a business, to speaking with partners, to the clients and the customers, like provide them all real information what's going on. But inside Kaspersky at the time, of course, we know it was not true, and we still are strong and working together. That's all.
So, Alex, looking a little bit into the future, what do you think are some of the trends in terms of malware? And if you could throw light on your views with regards to the EDR space. So, what do you think is the future in terms of, I heard one of your interviews where you were speaking about the rapid increase in mobile virus.
Mhm.
So could you, it's a broad question, but whichever areas you could put the looking glass and look into the future, what are some of the things you could predict is going to happen?
I think right now we have new beginning of the new era of malware threats. Right now we have two biggest problem in the industry. It's ransomware with encrypting of data and demanding of ransom to decrypt them.
Right.
And second problem, of course, this is computer espionage, stealing your data. And right now we have crossing of them. We have ransomware guys who encrypt your data and stole them of the time. And it's still unsolved problem. And I hope in next 5 years, this problem will be solved, but not by security vendors. I think vendors of operational system have to solve this. I mean Microsoft, I mean Apple, I mean Unix community, because it's really impossible to protect people against ransomware with traditional security tools. It can be solved only on the operational system level. So we'll wait. So speaking about mobile viruses, right now, of course, we have a lot of viruses to the Android. 99.9% all malicious stuff for mobile phones, it's for Android.
Right.
It's almost zero threats to the iPhone, but we have different problem. We don't have much mobile viruses for iPhone, but we have exploits for iPhone, which cost a lot, like $1 million for the exploit. But people, not people, organization, national state actors, they have exploits for iPhone. They can break your phone at any time, and there is no way to check your phone if it's infected or not. So to check your iPhone, you have to spend $1 million to buy exploit, and then you can check your iPhone. It's not really good situation, you know. We can check Android phone without any problem, but with iPhones, we're helpless. We can't do anything, and this is a problem. And I hope in the near future, Apple maybe will help us to some solution how to change this really big problem in the protection. And third part of new era of malware evolution, of course, this is critical infrastructure. More and more attack on the Internet of Things, like routers, like smart cars, smart homes, and every smart devices, it's already can be infected. Everybody knows about a lot of cases like router botnets, like attack on the smart lamps. And at that time, when virus writers, cyber criminals, if they found a way how to earn money from the infection of smart homes, we'll have a lot of cases. There will be no more viruses for the personal computers, for the laptops. They will switch in 1 year totally to the Internet of the Things, and they will try to earn money of them. It's not started yet, but I think it's future, unfortunately. Unfortunately,
Right.
yeah.
The challenge also is in terms of being able to catch cyber criminals, right? Because they work behind the shadows, and cooperation between countries is very challenging.
Yes, yes,
The
it's also
line
very,
between state-sponsored and non-state-sponsored actors is quite, uh, a blurred line. It's not a very clear line. So the same people could be working for a state-sponsored initiative, but they could be doing something on the side, or they could have. So I think that's
right,
a big
right,
challenge. And I
right.
don't think that countries want to come together and really cooperate, because then their state-sponsored activities might come out in the open as well. So
Yeah.
I think we're quite far away from solving this computer security problem.
Yes, yes, it's problem. For example, with North Korea. North Korea, they use hackers on the hire. They use own hackers. They provide them kind of protection. There's a people working not from the North Korea. They're working from another countries, like from the China, from the United States, from the Germany, and it's really impossible to find them and arrest them, because it's state-sponsored people. They can change passports, they can change, they
Right.
can travel with fake documents without any problem. It's really big problem. At the time of balkanization of internet, there is no cooperation between Russian law enforcement and US government, for example, and a lot of Russian hackers still to be wanted by FBI, and they're freely walking on the Moscow streets because there is no crime in the Russia.
Right.
So Russian police doesn't have any arguments to arrest these guys. Yes, that's really, really big problem, and I hope it will be solved, but in not near future. In next 5-10 years, I think, unfortunately, we'll see the same situation with cyber criminals who protected by governments.
Right. 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 Alex, I wanted to jump to a different topic. You've become an angel investor since leaving Kaspersky. So could you tell us a little bit about your investments, and what do you look for when you're evaluating a new company to invest in?
Right now it's very hard to find very good, interesting IT security startup to invest in them. Of course, there are a lot of startups in the Israel. Israel is a startup country, and speaking about IT security, right now, as far as I remember, about 700 IT security companies in the Israel. It's
Yeah.
population of Israel less than in Moscow, the total. But in Moscow, we have about 10 security companies. In Israel, they have 700 security companies.
Right.
But speaking about different countries, it's very hard to find. Of course, there are a few of them, but with really new ideas which can solve new problem, like problem with ransomware. There is no startup on the market, in my opinion, who can solve this problem with ransomware. So I try to look at them. I look in past 2 years. I look at different startups in this area, and I think big new products, security products, we'll see not from the startups. I think they will grow in current companies from maybe Kaspersky, maybe CrowdStrike, maybe, I don't know, like Silence, whatever. But not small startups right now can create something real new disruptive technology to IT security, because you have to have a lot of experience, like people with 10 years of experience in the industry, with real good understanding how it works. It's very hard, like, to the students to create really good IT startup, IT security startup. So, and most of people with such experience still working in the big companies. it's not way to the how startup working. You know, we have to have like new angry people who from the colleges, like in IT security it's a little bit different. So right now looking more on the different ways of IT, like new tools to VR, virtual reality, like for in the fintech. Also, I had some small investment in not in Bitcoin or blockchain, but I have some investment in the blockchain payment systems in on the new markets, like in South Africa, for example, and Southeast Asia. Also, I think fintech area right now very fast growing, and there are a lot of also unsolved cases like how to fast transfer money from the India to the Russia. It's not there is no fast ways, and there's some new technologies I think we'll see in the near future. So I also try to looking on the investment to the like to the art. For example, I can show you. You can see
Okay.
this picture like modern art. I think we'll see some big changes on the stock market in next month, because elections in the United States, and right now American market on the stock market on the top,
Yeah.
and every people very nervous. Everybody have no idea what will be next. Right now we have huge spike in the gold and the silver prices. So commodities, I think, will be growing in the next years more and more and more. And the stock market, I think, will be going down after the elections in the US. So right now, this is good moment to starting to invest in something different. Like I said, commodities, properties, gold, and the art. Not some new shady startups, because financial crisis will crush them.
Right, right. I agree with you. I think startups might be able to solve very niche problems, but in terms of, I think you have merit in what you say, because if you have to solve a ransomware problem, you have to have access to a lot of ransomware samples. You have to have access to labs where you can, try out various ways in which to solve them, and then scale that solution.
Yes, yes.
Trying to build an EDR solution in our company. And by the time we came up with something reasonable, already companies like Trend Micro, Symantec had developed their own EDR versions and were selling them at very low prices. We would not even have recovered the cost of our development from future sales on that product. So we abandoned the idea. So yeah, it is a challenge to solve at scale, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alex, what keeps you busy nowadays? You left Kaspersky how many years back, and what's keeping you busy nowadays? What's the future outlook for you personally?
I still looking on the IT threats every day. A lot of reading a lot of news about incidents. I try to be in the tonus to understand what's still going on in this area. Of course, I spent a lot of time to look in the broad market. I mean stock market also, and maybe in short period of time I will start to working again in Kaspersky, because I have some ideas, and as I said before, only big security vendor can develop such solutions. So I have some idea. Maybe I will discuss it with Eugene Kaspersky next few weeks, and we'll see what happens. Maybe I will back to the industry. Why not?
Why not? Why not? Well, Alex, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. Somebody who's been there from the days when malware really started, and it used to be, just written for fun or hobbies, and when it becomes such serious business on both sides, now it's multi-million dollar business. State entities are involved, non-state entities are involved. Critical infrastructure is under attack, cars are under attack. Name it, and that piece of technology is under attack. And unfortunately, I don't think as an industry we've come close to solving some of the big problems. But you've done remarkable work with some of the most famous malware and so many other things that you've talked about. So really appreciate the time you spent with us today, Alex, and wish you all the best for your next steps.
Thank you for this interview. It was
Thank
always
you.
pleasure for me, and I hope in the future, well, all this history with COVID, with coronavirus will be ended. I will visit India again. I love India so much. I was in India 10 times, I think, and I really want to meet you in the person in the future.
Sure,
I
look
hope.
forward to that, and hopefully, I can make a trip over to Moscow because I've never been
Oh,
here.
yeah,
I
that's
would look
great.
forward to that.
Great,
Right,
great.
Alex. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.